It's on its way, but we can start with Park.
I feel like we did this last year, but this, I'm not sure what we do.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Literally.
Well, the council, I provided an update to the council and to Marlene and Joyce, so they kind of know what the general numbers are. As far as what we're experiencing or what we're expecting or, on the budget. And I will remind you all, as I remind you every year. You really want to fill in the blanks,
I will.
but
Budget is a permission to spend. That doesn't mean we have to, but we want to make sure that we have enough in there that we are covering our bases. Much easier to come under than to have to go over. So it is a permission, not that we're spending. Thank you.
Yeah.
It is my favorite part of the year. I'm going home. Thank you.
yeah, so that's basically what we're here for. We're gonna go over the budgets. I kind of said, hit the highlights. If you need to, the lowlights, express, share some of the things that you know are coming down the pike as far as planning in the next year. And maybe beyond if we need to address some of that. And yeah, so council's had this information, they sent it out over the weekend, so.
Okay. Do I talk with?
Yep. Hey, so Crystal, what went well in 2026?
That's where this comes in.
It
So,
can.
we really went, we topped out on, rentals for our facilities and our, equipment and, we've got some new programming. I think we had a lot of things going on in the park this year that I was proud of. But I'd say that was our biggest thing is just increasing our revenue. Getting some programming going. Yesterday, we had a really cool event that, even Karen came to.
Even
Me. Well, I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time.
Wow.
You shouldn't get out much.
Well, we don't do a lot of events, honestly. We don't do a lot of events that any of you come to because they're usually for smaller kids. Everything's geared towards things. This was a really nice family event. It was nice to have all of our first responders out there. The EMS even got to work while they were there. But yeah, we did, I think we really tapped out on rentals this year and for all that, I think that was the best thing we've done.
What were your challenges this year? I got your back if you need it.
Like, I think that basically staffing,
There you go.
and during the summer, it's been okay. It's just that being in this position now for going in, finishing up my second summer and everything. I think that the biggest thing that we have is not having enough off-season staff. And that this job is just not a one-person thing. And the visions that we have for what we can do are not something that can be done with just one person. So I'd say staffing is our biggest.
When you look at 2027, what are some of those visions that you want to do that you need that staffing for?
I would like to have a community event every month. That's kind of what we have going the rest of the year. Is just having something every month for, to bring the community, the people who live here, together. I mean, I feel Visitor Center is very focused on bringing people into town, but we want to do things for the people that are here.
Is the staffing a problem because we can't find people or we're not paying enough?
Both. I think that some of the year-round staff, it's hard to keep somebody out of the season because all the kids go back to school.
Right.
And so when we have somebody for year-round, we need somebody who needs to make an adult wage.
You say somebody or somebody's, or what, if you were be asked, what do you need in that support? Not summer, one person?
I think
full-time?
that
What is
one,
it?
if we have somebody doing programming and me doing all of the other things, it would also be super helpful to even keep somebody on for maintenance. I spend the off season, I spend a lot of my time on the mower. So having somebody for maintenance as well as the program would be, that's ideal. That's all the hopes and dreams.
You said that you have programs for the rest of the year, one month, like what kind of, what are you doing?
So the person that headed up the event yesterday, she has on her radar to have maybe an end of summer something in September. We're kind of really working on September right now, but October we have, we'll be involved with Fall Fest. There's talks of bringing Fall Fest back to the park, taking it off of Main Street, making it more of family oriented than whatever Main Street's been doing. I don't want to say party, but maybe going more with the Lions Club and having the Halloween costume contest and all of that kind of stuff, and doing it all in the park. And then we also have an event at the end of October that we just open up for the kids that CYC is not usually open on that Friday or the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And so the last couple of years I've done a thing where everyone can drop their kids off and they hang out for the day, because parents still have to work even though CYC is not open. And then we go straight into the holiday tree lighting and everything like that. So those are end of the year. So, but just continuing then for next year, trying to think of things to do every month. Bringing back s'mores on the beach. I hear that was a lot of fun. I feel like that happened when we first moved here and hasn't happened in a couple of years, but I think that was a good one. We should come back.
So the increase in the salaries, is that wage increases or is that an additional person? What does that 10,000 reflect?
No, I think that's just a 3% increase from what we had last year.
Right now, anybody doing programming for you?
Jessica,
That's part-time.
she started as maintenance.
Yeah.
And then kind of moved into that and really rocked this first event. And so I've asked if she wanted to, stay on. If we have to do maintenance, then, I would prefer to keep her on and I'll stay on the mower, but if I don't have to, that's great too.
One of the nice things that Crystal talked to me about and asked the question that we're investigating is there a way of creating a cooperative pool of maintenance labor for the park and for the town? Usually Bob brings on some seasonal help and the park brings on seasonal help. Crystal brings that on. Is there a way we can merge that and get better utilization and assignment out of them, including helping with Cap Park maintenance and doing some weed work and giving them assignments, brush details, mowing that way, and creating a pool of labor that needs to be accomplished for the town in the summer and putting a part-time, pulling resources together, splitting the budget on them and bringing a pool of labor together. It's an interesting idea. I credit Crystal for thinking and bringing that to my attention. And I brought up with Bob and it's a conversation that's starting to happen.
So I hadn't thought about that before. With, was looking at another part-time that, for next year.
Yeah.
I guess maybe he cut it back to one. We used to have two part-time hired every summer.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't find anybody to come in and work.
And it's always, we got lucky this year with Harrison. He's been a really great kind of presence and wants to come back and work with us. We may find better luck bringing younger, a couple older people, for some guidance in there. So it's neat. It's a neat idea.
Yeah.
Where, looking at the third page, you're asking for a $10,000 increase in salaries. but we've got half of that benefit. How does that,
That's because of the, health insurance.
oh, okay,
So we just have one person with one full-time employee, we just have one expense for health insurance. So the rest of the money in there is for taxes.
oh, okay, all right. I just looking at it. That's half the salary.
I think also, well, drug screens for our seasonal employees, which ends up being what, about 30, like 20 to 30 drug screens at $35.
Yeah.
And that hits out too.
Are you saying that 5,000 is half the 10,000 up above on salary?
Well, that's just what caught my eye, Kevin.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's 10,000 for the salary, and then the 5,000 would be for the benefits, right? So it'd be total of 15 per. And then the longevity of 175. Okay.
All right.
And I'm assuming that the increase in the gear install is because the price is likely to go up and that's still including part of that.
It's based on the contract that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is going, I think, pier install is only for the removal and install, and then the sockets come out of the CCD, right? Is that correct? Okay. So that's the contract.
The question, did you address the building improvements before I got here?
No.
Just question, I know that we spent a little bit on 25, nothing in 26. Is that 20,000 just in case we need improvements, or is it really a thoughtful, this is what we have to do goal?
Is that line just not reflected of the windows, or is that a different line?
We haven't gotten one yet, or we haven't done the full windows yet. So
I feel like we did a little bit of the building improvements with the windows upstairs. I don't know if that fell into a repair line or if it,
There are several items, Dana, on the building that Crystal's brought out, and if I may.
yes.
In our conversation, the basement, some of the water seal, the treatment on that. We're looking into the outlets and the electricity on the top floor need to be replaced and redone. I'm trying to get grant for the stairway on the beach side, but that's something else we're going to look into. I'm hopeful that we can work with Indiana Landmarks on it. While they were here, we looked at it and we talked about some opportunity there. Whether we do that before the big project or not, but that 20 grand was a comfortable number.
And there's everything, a lot of the things that I've said, it's part of a bigger project.
Right.
But we do have things that need to be done.
And we do have some air conditioning units that need to be, and that's looking at a probably $12,000 bill there. Just some things that want to make sure we have the pot in there.
Fine to me. I mean, when it comes to insurance and bonds, it's not like you can say, oh, well, I'm not gonna pay that much.
Let's make it.
And that's something that I'm still waiting to hear from our insurance agent to get a firm number on that.
Yeah.
But also just to remind everybody that the park has its own fund. And so the money that is earned by the park goes into that park fund. The money that is spent by the park comes out of that. It's not coming over the general fund or any other fund. So it's a separate entity essentially. So.
When I look at the income versus the request over $65,000 short.
And that's where we're hoping that we can generate more
Income.
money come. The program.
We started pickleball. That's been quite a hit. We started with one doubles league and they finished that. And then they started a doubles co-ed, a doubles women and a doubles men that are starting right now. And So if we keep coming up with stuff like that, then hopefully we'll be able to
Figures do you charge by
$25 a person.
year?
Is that the goal? Is it break even? Pay them?
Ideally,
Nice.
break even.
I mean, nice, but that always.
It's been a number of years back. I mean, it's been a number of years since we've broken. Even. So that fund has been dwindling down. It got to a point where it was uncomfortably low. And we're working with them. So, and hopefully, ideally, we don't spend everything on this
Yeah.
list. And then we end up bringing in a little bit more than we're anticipating, and we do break even. Back to my, this is a permission to spend argument, but
$100 increase on pier spots equals $15,000. Pretty close to it. $100 increase. And right now, research shows me, no, I hate that expression. When I look at research, it suggests that our pier spots are incredibly low for the lake, and I said that 2 years ago, and it's still true. I'm not suggesting that's always the out, right? Originally, when we looked at pier spots, they were really for residential, but as we look at that list, and Crystal, you're familiar with it, a lot of them are being used by people who own property in Culver, but maybe not homestead. Right? They're not homestead residents now. They're still taxpayers, they pay it, and I understand that, but it's a different clientele than when we originally started. I'm not suggesting they're low, but I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't look into that and always keep that in mind. What is it? I mean, what would it cost for them to have lake access on Lake Maxine-County? We'll look at the taxes on the property that people pay on the lake. And I'm just putting that in council's mind because there is a deficit. And it's a privilege, not a right. And there's a waiting list of over 80 people trying to get on those piers. I think that constitutes demand. So just for consideration.
How much is a beer, friend?
16.
Yeah, they range from 14 to 18 or 14 to 21.
Yeah, I always throw out 16, 17 as an
Yeah.
average, but
Yeah.
most people are paying the lower residential price.
Mhm.
So one would suggest that maybe our PWCs, those little personal watercrafts might be a little high because the demand starting to go down on those, but there's no shortage for people wanting to get on those pier spots.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is that peer rental just something that comes up at any meeting? Or do you have to put that on the agenda for the price?
we have to put it on the agenda. It would constitute an ordinance change. And because it would be a fee, we would have to do a public hearing for it. So, and I'm sure that it would be.
Back. All in support, mind you.
Yes.
I just have one other question here, maybe Kevin alluded to it or Karen, but go to pier installation and removal. The deficit right now is at the sockets.
The sockets are not included
No,
in that. Sorry. Go ahead, Karen.
I took out the sockets.
The difference of 10,200 is the,
Well, my question is that we've overspent 18,134.
But we also didn't have the new contract for the piers when we started all this last year, right?
we
'Cause
did, but
Still had.
did some of the sockets get in on that?
I took-
You did?
I'm looking for them.
Okay.
So some of it
Being
was
I
fine.
have-
I don't think so, but I'm just.
You know, I think it is sockets because
I kind of remember that.
Well, yeah. Cause I think I fixed it, but in July.
That's,
June.
what happened was when the Valaquez brothers invoiced, they put everything on one invoice. They didn't separate the pier install removal price and the socket work that went on. And the socket wasn't for the manufacturing. They put in the labor for the sockets. We had already had the sockets for the B pier. So when they charged Karen, they sent in an invoice that had both the pier and pier install and the removal, and as well as the install labor for the sockets on pier B. So I think that's the difference we're looking at. I'm not.
Yeah, it's actually, we've only spent 11,699 out of the pier. I think I prepared this before, and that's when Krista said, hey, there's something wrong. And then just the way the system does that journal entry, it doesn't appear as a correcting expense, so. Yeah. It's all good.
Getting back to your question about the homestead thing, but I mean, are we looking at raising the pier rates this year?
No, sir. I was just bringing that as a point. That's up to council.
Well, I realize
Yeah,
that. I realize that.
I just don't know. I don't know. I'm just putting forth the notion that there's a high demand for them. And it's an income for the park. It's our major form of income.
Understand.
And it's a lot to put on. It's a lot to manage time-wise to provide that service. We feel like we've improved the sockets, improved the conditions. We've got a reliable installation to date. I don't know if it's this year, Bill, but I think that it's something I always want you guys to think about and remind you. And if council's pleasure is that I go out and do some comparison and bring
When
those
was the
numbers.
last time we raised them?
They were 2024. We had the discussion in 2023. We raised them in 2023 for 2024. So that was 2024 was the first year we did the increase. And we did a modest increase at that. I think we were examining a larger increase. We backed that down, if memory serves well. I don't know. It's just something that I'm paying attention to. An increase in the waiting list, a longer waiting list to get on time-wise. People are holding on to them longer, so that must indicate they're happy. There's some complaints sometimes, raccoons and that kind of stuff. That's inevitable, but there seems to be a satisfaction with the rental, and it does provide them lake access. That property has absolute value to the park. And they're claiming it, and it takes away from public access to those areas. And I just want to make sure that we're charging enough for that.
The expenses are going up 10,000. That's a significant increase.
It is because of some of it's the labor to install. It gets more and more on the lake with piers. Especially finding somebody who can get the job done because there's a high demand for it. And in the spring, those guys are flying around and they're trying to get as many people in their herd as possible. And to have somebody that's dead, it's difficult. We've seen some good ones come and go.
We have an idea. We have an approximate idea of when you look at the pool of renters for pier space, what percentage of residents?
Not as many. I don't know that I could give you a percentage off the top of my head, but I know that there is a lot of people who their mailing address is not Culver.
That's where we're running into. Absolutely right. I think residence is a weird word to use at anything in Culver. I think property owner, every one of the ones in green.
Well, I know
Yeah.
property owners are better.
I think so, Bill, and I
Sure.
think that's, yeah, there's probably 90 of them that are property owners, and we're to a point, Bill, when Amber was here, and that property owners are prioritized before non-property owners. People that are in Union Township and Culver are prioritized over people who do not have property.
But if I'm a non-resident, but I own property, am I a property owner?
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. In Union Township or Culver, if you own property, you're considered residents according to that list, and we inherited that from, that's been Amber's system for 8 years,
Yep.
9 years. So that's where we're at.
What's your thoughts, Marlene?
They own property, they pay taxes just like everybody else does. How are you gonna distinguish whether they're full-time residents or not? You know, this guy paid $100,000 and he paid taxes on that $100,000, the same as what I pay taxes on my $100,000 just because he doesn't live here year round. How you gonna say you have to pay more than I do? You know, it'd be awful hard to justify that. I mean, I'd like to go with full-time residents, but I don't know how you justify it.
Legally, I'm not sure you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you gonna prove?
I'm with you on that. And that's kind of the catch 22 to raising the pier prices, being sensitive to, there are people that own the pier that are 12 months a year, residents pay taxes, working class family kind of scenario.
We even have people on there that are like, I have 4 houses and now I have 4 pier spaces.
You have what?
We have people who have multiple residents, so they have multiple pier spaces. We've got certain families that have 4 and 5 pier spaces, but they have 4 or 5 houses.
But they followed the rules. I mean, they
Yeah,
put
I mean,
themselves on the
yeah.
waiting list. So they followed all the procedures, but yeah, it's, they've been on long enough that they work their way up and jump on when there's availability and.
Yep.
Got in early, because that seems to be the success. It's working now, not suggesting it's not, but it's just something to always keep a conversation about.
And one last question,
Yes, sir.
how many new people come on a year?
Last year I had 7.
The year before that, that's pretty close, Crystal, with the number. So we get a good rotation in there, but they always come in. It's always, let's make a deal, because the ones people are moving around, it's a regular system. And then the pier spots that are available usually aren't the best, so they got to make a decision. Well, I'm number 1 on the waiting list. Maybe I'll wait and see if something better comes up. So it's a game. You know, it's really interesting. But yeah, about 7 or 8.
But Karen, looks like last year we underspent 2025 budget by 20,000. So we make money, but we didn't understand.
I think at least this year and next year, you're doing a great job of finding new opportunities for income. Doing it.
We had a lot of different things to buy in the beach lodge, you know, sunscreen, things people forget. I'd like to next year kind of come up with some different food items to boost those sales. So I feel like we're only gonna go up, hopefully.
Yes.
Anything else on park?
Thank you.
Crystal,
Thank you, Chris.
Well done.
Good job.
you're off.
You have a great evening.
You too. Thanks.
All right.
I'm the hot seat.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, from our conversation, I gave it to the council, but it's just my summary of it. Just peruse it when you get a chance, and probably should have emailed you in advance. I apologize for that.
That'd been nice.
I know. Well, it's your words, Bobby, so I'm pretty sure you knew what you said. I just want to make sure I understood it. Vehicle list was really good. Thanks.
That's the same one we got before the meeting last night.
The summary of the
Whatever.
notes. Did I give that? I thought I gave that to you. Because I thought I gave it to you before I emailed council, but you know what? I want to make sure. Can I take that? No, keep it. I got it on my print. Let me print out. a copy. I think I gave it one, but I don't know.
Oh, you gave us something.
It had
like
the
that, but I
same
don't know if
It had the vehicles. I don't know if I included that information. Let me grab it for you.
Yes. It'll be just wait till, yes. Ever touched. I know one week. And here, when I grew up, okay, never have.
Should not get out of trouble.
The girl said they saw her screaming.
Should lean back and your eyes closed.
Spare down many times.
Come on, it's time to get up. Not moving.
Cause the terms heavy. Gotta hit it.
Advance. Again, so.
Down, but she-
Feel any major injuries so far?
Nothing yet, and don't feel jinxing that yet. I have a football player, kind of got a concussion from scrimmage, but he's about back. Football, so it's having a good.
Didn't you say, tell me, does it turn out here at $8,000?
That's a,
No, it's 5.
man, that's.
Yeah, I think they're in the EMS one.
He ran out with the doctor and the diagnosed it. Really, that's.
Two of those you.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
That we budgeted 3.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, Bob, anything you wanna add?
How do we want to do this? We going through it line by line?
No, we don't have.
You just told me to highlight the changes. So,
This is your budget.
far as budget changes go, the big things we put in here is, radios. We talked about radios are gonna be a need by 2031, 32 is what the timeline the state has given us to phase out our current radios, the current 800 megahertz system. It's getting upgraded to phase 2. So our portable radios are good to go. The mobile radios in the truck will be defunct at that point when that changeover happens. So we have 7 of those. Their last one we bought was $8,300 a piece. We budgeted in for 2 next year and then 2 a year until we're caught up and all those are replaced. Turnout gear as well. So we bought turnout gear in 2021. That's a mandatory every 10-year replacement. But what we find is that by 10 years, some guys are in rags, other guys' stuff still looks brand new. And that just depends on what their role in the department is. Guys that are going interior on fires time after time, their stuff really gets beat up. So to come in here every 10 years and ask for a big expenditure on $5,000 per firefighter. Then we've had guys that are just had needed gear for a few years at that point, and other guys that, you know, just their stuff's lasted them. I'm looking at doing 2 to 3 sets a year starting next year. Because now we just finished up, this is year 5 in the gear, so it's starting to wear on some people, starting to see the wear. So next year is kind of doing assessment of everybody's gear, replace 2 to 3 sets, and then keep doing that moving forward as needed. That way we're not coming back in 10 years looking for $75,000. Those are the only significant changes. Everything else kind of came from Karen. There was some insurance increases, as we know. And then there was a rule that changed this year as far as there's a clothing and vehicle allowance. It was,
Right now, there's a clothing allowance of $200. The legislature changed that to up it to $250 and added a $250 vehicle reimbursement as well. So basically, each firefighter gets another, basically $500. So I am gonna confirm if it's on the vehicle, is that basically on the vehicle, is that reimbursement because you're driving your vehicle to a fire, or is that just because you're driving it from your house to the fire department? But I'll give a little bit more information.
So
This
this budget includes the vehicle, although we may not be doing that
Yeah.
if you have to drive your vehicle to the fire.
Correct. My guess is it's probably just everybody
yeah, I
regardless.
mean,
So,
they're driving to the fire station, or the fire station can still use on their
Yeah.
vehicles.
But tax wise, that's not necessarily the case. Government wise, most of the time, traveling to and from work is not.
Yeah.
But going someplace other than your work spot, and that is. So there's a real possibility that ours would not qualify, volunteers would not qualify for the.
and I don't know if the state legislature took that into account. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna investigate and see where we're at. And I did.
And that falls under the benefits.
That's under benefits, yes. And I also called the SIS, which is the retirement thing. They confirmed it's 5-year.
It is
Pay
5
that
years.
so through 20. So.
I'll be a little bit more on description on the, remind me on the lease purchase. Line item.
Yeah, so Karen could probably touch on that a little bit better. We took lease purchase out for next year, so that shows.
That's basically to pay for the truck that's coming.
Mhm.
So we're not gonna need those funds. We've encumbered funds from last year, so once it comes, we need to pay for it. We won't need those next year.
Couple things that Bobby talked about with me, down at the firehouse. A need probably for some electrical work. That is a need for next year. We're gonna look into, some water management, the base lower area. Is something we'll look into together. Eventually down the line, a larger project, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 figures, 100,000. But Bobby and I talked about some of the concern, with starting up diesels inside the firehouse. And this is a real problem across Indiana. They're starting to track this and target it and find that it's a caustic agent for a lot of firefighters, and it's causing cancer. Not necessarily, we need to sound the alarm and the world's coming to an end, but we also want to be proactive. So getting an exhaust system for the startups, the yellow hoses that you see a lot of times over the exhaust, is something, but it's about a $600 or $100,000, $500,000, system. And we're gonna start looking into that, and hopefully maybe 28, 29, start looking into that, a little bit more seriously, budgetary wise. Successes this year. I was really happy to hear this from 3 of our department heads. Bobby mentioned it, acting department head Lisa over in EMS, and Chad mentioned that it's unprecedented communication, and coordination right now between our services. That was really encouraging. Bobby listed that down. Maintenance is going really well on equipment. And he wants to try to find that, he wants to spend that money throughout the year, maybe a little different style than before. Some of the things that need maintenance, hoses, that kind of stuff. He's pretty confident in the fleet right now, but there is some movement. Maybe talk about that fleet, where projection wise, not for next year, but where do you see that?
Yeah, so fleet wise, like Kevin said, we're in a really good spot. We do obviously want to stay ahead of that. It's vital equipment. But the stuff we have is good. Low mileage, we've kept up with maintenance. What I want to look at, our next due for replacement will be our tanker, which is a 2001, but we don't have any issues with that as of right now. Of course, something, knock on wood, something could always change catastrophically, but ideally, I'd like to get that apparatus evaluated and come up with 3 options for refurbish the truck as it sits, get a vendor to go through it bumper to bumper, repair, replace everything that can be repaired, updated or upgraded, hoses, belts, get the engine worked on, get the pump rebuilt, those things. And I want to know what that's going to cost, how long it's going to take, and what life expectancy we should get out of that truck. The option B would be a re-chassis, where we take the pump and the body, lift that off, put a new truck under it, mount it on there. And same questions, how long is that going to take? How long is it going to how long is it going to take? What's it going to cost, and how long should it last? And then the third option be a full replacement. There's pros and cons to everything. Specifically with the tanker, that truck does one job. It hauls water back and forth where we don't have hydrants. So there's no benefit to upgrading to a brand new. With the engine, we're getting a massive upgrade in capabilities and technology, going from our 2006 pumper to the new one that's coming. So there's real benefit in getting that. The tanker, that job is pretty simple. So it doesn't make sense to buy a brand new one if we can avoid it. Because last I looked, we're looking about $800,000 to $850,000 to replace that truck. So I want to get it assessed and figure out, do a cost benefit analysis on those 3 options of refurbish, re-chassis, replace, and then you all make the decision on that. I think, we had this question before. Somebody had asked, if a new one, the benefit being we order a new one, the new one shows up, the old one goes away that day, we're never without a tanker. So, if we're without a tanker, I think if it's cost savings enough, you could probably find a used one somewhere to get us by for a few months. Those are the options I want to look at. Is, if we have to buy something in the interim, get our current one refurbished, sell the old one, or sell the temporary one, I'll call it. But I want to have those conversations starting 2029.
Might check with the company that does the refurbishing, because when we did that with Zero the EMS, they basically lift the box off and drive a chassis under it, drop it back down. It only takes 3 months to do it.
Yeah. Well,
But they had a loan.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Certainly an
So
option for
that
sure.
may be an option.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are just the things I want to explore. It's too costly, I feel like, to do what we've always done. It's just every 5 years we buy a new fire truck because this one's the oldest, so that one goes. And I think we can do a little bit better job just really assessing the fleet, but also understanding that we want to stay ahead of problems and we don't want something to get to the point of being unreliable. But let's be strategic and where our dollars go. So that's my plan with that. We're doing the same thing currently. It's almost kind of a trial, really, with the grass rig, our older grass rig, the 94 Chevy. Because we had that conversation, Terry had brought that up about bringing that this year, I think, to you guys to replace. And it's like, well, same thing. It's low mileage. We had some issues with it, but let's try to fix it. So last year we got motor work done. We got new tires put on it with some end of year surpluses. We sent it out and got it fully rewired, all new lights and everything upgraded because the lights didn't work. They tried to go out on a call and just none of the flashing lights worked. Well, that's a problem. So we got that fixed. We said the motor got worked on and it starts and it runs great. Really the only thing now left on it is the pump and the tank. And we could replace those for probably another 10 to 15, maybe $20,000. Whereas a new truck is going to cost us $200,000. So.
Choices. Nice choices.
Thank you. We're trying.
Have we discussed, or have we made a decision? I know we've discussed, but, whether the squad is gonna go, and if so, have you looked for any buyers or has the council made the decision?
Has not been made. I was kind of waiting a little bit closer to the new truck coming, and then now we're getting there, so it is time to have those conversations. And what Marlene's referring to is some of you in the work session, and I think Bill, I think Sally's the only one I haven't had a chance to really talk through it. Going back to assessing the fleet, the engine was what we opted to replace. We got a new engine coming to replace an old engine. We kind of sat down and started taking a hard look at things. This new truck that's coming, with the upgrades that we made last year in extrication equipment, with the addition of the ladder in 2020, we really started taking jobs away from our old squad, our current squad, the rescue. Before the ladder truck, that was our support vehicle on structure fires. It carried all of our tools, our saws, our vent fans, and then all of our EMS equipment and extrication equipment for car crashes. So the engine and the squad worked together in tandem to tackle those incidents. When we got the ladder, all the firefighting equipment came off and went onto the ladder, and that left it for extrications. Well, we've had some challenges come up in extrications. We had a fatality out here in Burr Oak where the vehicle ended up 300 some yards down the tracks. Well, when our extrication tools are attached to a 100-foot hose, we have to get creative. And we do have one portable pump, one portable pump that can run tools. Generally on an extrication, we're running 3 to 4 tools at a time. So you all bought us battery operated Hurst extrication tools, end of 2024. We took delivery of those 2025. They've been used very successfully in the times we've had to use them and training both in real incidents. Operationally, they've been great for us, huge upgrade from the old tools. So now with this new truck coming, all that rescue equipment, this truck is designed to hold all that rescue equipment. So now we're finding that squad, just, we're not using it very much. Really, the only use we're using it for is to send people to fires because it has the air pack seats. So kind of looking at values, the engine, the current engine one, the one that you guys looked at to replace, the 2006, it's got 19,000 miles on it. The squad is a 2014 and has 34,000 miles maybe. I got some assessments done on values or appraisals. That squad, initially they told me $165,000 to $185,000 resale value. The engine, they said 50 to 90. They came out and looked at them. They said they stuck with probably about 90,000 for the engine resale value, but the squad, they said $200,000 to $250,000. So it's like, okay, the engine is 19, 20 years old now. So it certainly needed to be replaced, but we've maintained it. It's not to the point of being unreliable. I think if we have it in backup in a reserve status, when we have the new engine, we still will run 4 trucks on structure fires, but having the engine instead of the squad, because right now the squad goes with those guys, they get out, they leave that truck sit there, and that truck does nothing else for the rest of the incident. At least the engine would bring us 1,000 gallons of water. Which helps solve our problem, especially when we're out in the county where we don't have hydrants. So the more water we can bring, the better off we are. And it would allow just a little bit more flexible use of the fleet. We've been running a lot of mutual aid fires. I think we're up to 7 mutual aid fires this year, and having the old one still on hand when we get a mutual aid to Washington Township or Plymouth or Monterey. If we have the old one on hand, we send that one out of town and keep our frontline engine in service and available for everybody. Those are some of the uses that I feel would benefit versus having that squad sitting there just not doing much. And then to have those resale funds come back in to offset some of the cost for the new truck, I think would probably be helpful for the town's budget. The broker that I talked to, they specialize, it's called The Garage is their name. There's a couple that I've reached out to, but this one seems like it would be a really good fit. They come, we essentially sign a contract with them, so we can't sell it out from under them. You know, all sales go through them. They told me 10% is what they take, but because this being a rescue and they don't get those very often, they think they could probably work with us a little bit on that fee. But that covers advertising it on a national level. They do all the deal. They offer financing to the buyer. They offer a warranty and they offer freight. So if the department in the state of New York or the state of Washington says, hey, I want this fire truck, they call that company. It's all handled. Somebody shows up to our station and takes it out here and away it goes. And we collect our check minus 10, or collect the, that selling price minus 10%. So that's, we've always kind of been, I feel like, limited just in options before of just kind of calling the neighbors and seeing who wants this truck. And then when somebody wants it, what can they afford? And I think some of our trucks, it is nice to help the neighbors, don't get me wrong. It is a value. Monterey has our previous rescue. Abenabi has our previous engine. And I'm glad that we could help them and that those are still available to come back to us mutual aid when we call for them. But when we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in value for apparatus, I think we have to really take a good look at what we do with that. So.
Yeah.
It's a good deal, 10%.
Yeah, if they're only gonna offer you $10,000 for a trade-in on it, then it's one thing. And if they're offering you
Right.
100,000,
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
totally different ballpark.
Completely different ballpark. And, and the thing of it is, there's so many factors with that too, Sally. I'm glad you mentioned that because everybody's in the same crunch we are,
Yeah.
City of South Bend, bought two 1996 pumpers from a volunteer fire department in, Michigan last year to get us by 30-year-old rigs. Because the engines that they have on order are still years out and they're, what they had budgeted for 5 years ago planning, they cost double what they were 5 years ago. So everybody's trying to figure it out. So that definitely helps the market on resale. And we're in a fortunate position where we have the support of the town and the township to have a nice engine coming and be ahead of the game and not having to buy 30-year-old rigs. So we recognize that and we appreciate that. But helps us on the resale end too.
Yeah.
Officially, the department did vote to make the recommendation that we sell the rescue versus the engine. That's a decision between you all because you own the vehicle, we do not. But our recommendation is that we keep the engine, keep it in reserve. I think it'll last more years if it's not running frontline. Because right now that truck runs every call it's first out. So when it's 20 years old, the miles, it's hard miles. So it's getting beat on. But if it's sitting in backup, I think we'll get more years out of it.
Very interesting, very interesting.
With engine
I
one.
think we're in agreement that, it's silly not to get 200,000 or 250 for a rescue truck when we can get it, when we're not using it anyway. I think it's silly for us to keep it in there. And besides, we need the room when we get the new truck.
Yeah.
So we would agree to sell the rescue truck rather than
Engine one does it have some of that, the electronic or the electric integration tools?
Yeah,
Some of that
so
stored on
they're-
there. So
they're-
again,
they're-
that truck is getting.
They're in there now. There's a couple pieces, a couple components to that system. We only have 3 of the 4 pieces. We just ordered through the grant, the 4th piece. So what's in there now is the tools itself, but all of our stabilization and cribbing stuff. We've got struts that we can use to stabilize and lift a vehicle. And those are all in the rescue. So we're still running it just for those pieces of equipment.
When that's our backup truck, is that gonna make an issue? Because the new truck will be able to
the
hold
new
all.
truck will hold.
what about.
Right.
The
No,
EMS
that's-
backup is just a backup. If we're sending it out.
That's
they
a
should
good
have their own
question. So
equipment. I know, I'm just,
if the new
Just a
engine goes
question.
down, having all the equipment, it will not fit on the old engine.
okay,
No, so we'll have to get creative. So what we probably do is put all that stuff in the back of the pickup truck and then just know if we get a crash, we run the old engine in the pickup truck out.
but we do have an option.
We'd have to get creative. It's not ideal, but. And I do anticipating that. I do anticipate that being a problem, that we'll have issues with the new engine. We've had issues with the ladder. It's just the world we live in with electronics and components these days. Stuff breaks. It seems like a sensor will go out and the truck won't work. And, it'll be out of service for 2 days and mechanic shows up, plugs the computer in, replaces a $30 part and the truck's good to go again. It's like, I don't know why we have these issues, but it's everywhere. And they're very, very complex pieces of equipment. So that's part of that value of having that engine available. If we do have a problem with the new one, we've still got good options. Good.
This was
Well,
a 2% increase on the salaries. Is that something?
The only question for us, Bobby?
I'm sorry?
Any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I don't think so.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's see the budget go down.
Yeah. And I guess I will add, just to keep on the radar, at some point, we will have to look at facilities, for the fire and EMS. I just want to, you're going to hear that from me every time we talk, that there will be a day that comes that we'll have to pay firemen to man our station, and we're not anywhere close to having that, the facilities for that. So we do need to just keep it on the radar. It's been in the comprehensive plan since 2014. We know EMS is outgrown, so just want to keep those conversations, or get those conversations happening.
I still have blueprints for the
Yeah.
station that we had planned.
Yeah, well, that's a good start. It'll save some money there.
Can you?
I know that's going to be a massive project to take on, and just like the water plant, it's very expensive, and we have to figure out funding options for it. But it is a need, and it's going to continue to be a need. And it's going to get a bigger need. Just want to keep throwing that out there. Good.
Thank you.
They're on a writer's.
Yeah. That's a happy subject. If you don't think about paying for it.
We'll have to have some fish fries.
That's yard sale.
Yeah, bakes it up.
If we get the,
When
The,
it's going to be donated, it's not wrong.
yeah,
If you want those plans, I'll bring them down to you before I leave.
I would
So
love to
the
see
next
those.
trustee will save them here. Mhm.
Okay. What was that, Mr. Neer?
Think I read $1,000 or whatever it is a year.
So I figured EMS. They would do EMS.
They're next.
Yep.
Done with me then?
Thanks, Bobby.
Thanks, Bobby.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care. Godspeed.
So,
Hello.
Howdy.
Please. That's a summary from when we talked. That should have been emailed to you last week. But it's me.
Monterey did not have a town council.
Monterey?
Do they do
Yes, they do.
have one, Denton is the president of it. It's a 3-board council, 3-member, that's what I'm trying to say. Gearing for the win.
Both struggling today.
Well, together we're half a person.
Your fourth is not, or do they?
I don't.
No,
know.
they have a czar out there, like, it's an LFD.
They have a trustee.
Right.
They
Yeah,
do.
I don't know if they.
No, they're unincorporated, are they not? Which may be the case more and more as we watch saga unfold the next 2 years.
I know the fire department is in charge, or the trustees in charge of the fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have.
Yeah.
Council, sure.
They do have a good fish fry though. Solid. The old Abenabi School, if you go into their quote unquote town hall, take a look at the wall, you will see my mother graduated there in 1960. Get it right, 61. Just want to share that out loud. Thanks. All right. How you doing, Lisa?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you. You want me to warm it up? Great. Okay. This is big. Lisa, you and I had a nice conversation, and I just want you to share with the council as we move into the numbers a little bit more. What you were here this year during the transition with Michael, and you were instrumental in doing some reorganization with Michael. What were the successes of the EMS department this year? EMS department this year?
I think organization has been successful for us. Lowering our overtime budget has been successful for us. Currently, we're medic heavy, and that's a great problem to have. Forget all the other things.
I'm gonna fill in the gap.
Okay.
When Lisa talked about, I asked her to elaborate on the organizational part. 2 things that were very successful in keeping costs down. Mentioned overtime, but it was due to the diligence on the schedule, in large part to Lisa's credit. Just being able to get that schedule completed. What's interesting is, maybe I'll comment when we get to staffing, is the number of, when you look at it, our roster may seem down in terms of numbers, but it's actually greater depth of commitment. So we're getting people that are wanting to work more hours, more predictably, get on the schedule quicker, and that's really been a bonus for the scheduling to prevent the overtime. That was my understanding of our conversation. The second area Lisa's had success is being able to manage and organize medications, billing, and that started with Mike, but has continued with Lisa, and Lisa was instrumental under Mike doing that, able to capture income back in, but also managing our rigs and our overstock in some areas. I'm just being a little bit more judicious about uniforms and what's needed, what's wanted, and what's absolutely needs to go. Sorting the wheat from the chaff, if you will. So that's been a big area of success. I've also mentioned, Lisa, when Bobby was here, the coordination between departments, shared resources, and the coordination, the event at the academy that created a little bit of issue. Immediately, all 3 department heads sat down and talked about it, worked it out, understood where the problem was, and were able to come up not only with a remedy to prevent that from happening again, but also found an opportunity to share an EMT from the fire department come over. We could have 2 rigs report to the same site when we have an issue that needs, and have paramedic on site with 2 rigs there. And I thought that was brilliant. One that didn't happen before, but it was a result of that conversation. So not taking your thunder here, Lisa, but that was really instrumental in the conversation. One of the areas I'd like you to talk to council about that you discussed with me is that staffing.
Okay.
And that's been on council's mind. And just kind of walk us through where we're at, where we need to be in 2027.
Okay.
And go ahead.
So currently we have a roster of about 18 people. We are down to 3 full-time people, myself, Richard Moneypenny, and Steve Williams. And we have 1 part-time person, Austin Bragg. And with your approval, I just made offers to 3 of our staff members moving from PRN to part-time. So that will give us a total of 4 part-time people. 3 of them are paramedics and 1 is an EMT. So moving forward, we're going to continue with the 24/7 covers like we always have. We have been running medic, which is kind of new for us. In the past, it's always been medic EMT. But like Kevin said, with the reduced number of people and then also being medic heavy, it kind of benefits us in the fact that we can split a crew if we need to, which we've done probably 4 times since we had our meeting on July 4th, and we've been able to handle multiple calls at the same time and or car accidents with multiple patients and not having to call another agency because we're able to split our crews, take 2 ambulances, and then handle more patients and more calls. So kind of moving forward, we're going to be doing that. I am going to have to consider making a proposal for you guys for a leadership structure, because while I do have a department of about 18 people, I'm the only leadership right now, and I have a lot of hats that I wear. So I think maybe moving forward, it would be a good idea to get some more people in positions and create a good structure moving forward. So it's not just assigning titles to people, it's giving them responsibility and having them do some of the things that I do on a daily basis, because I found it very challenging in the last 3 months. Being on the ambulance and doing all of the administrative stuff, it's really, really time consuming. And I try to keep my hours down, and sometimes my hours kind of creep up. But I don't want to not be on the ambulance because I do love to do that. So that's kind of one of the other reasons I would want to have some more people that I can put into place to do things that can either help with billing or help with ordering and really understand the process and not just designate someone to do it on a random day. Maybe looking forward to 2027 and maybe even into 2028, I could see us having 3 people on shift at a time. Whether that's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or whether it's like 12-hour days. I'm not sure how that's going to look yet, but with our run volume and different community outreach programs that we want to do, teaching classes for the community, teaching EMS classes, there's really a lot of things that we could do and utilize people, get into the community and show what we're doing, have people come to the station, take classes here. We can have other agencies come in. So we kind of have a lot of really great ideas that are just on the back burner for right now until our leadership gets solidified.
You mentioned that's something that's in the write-up, but maybe walk council through program-wise, vision-wise. You've mentioned we've had some kind donations of virtual equipment.
Yes.
Some programming, some educational opportunities and training facility. Can you walk through that a little bit?
Sure. It's my goal to make Culver EMS our own training institution. So what that means is through the state of Indiana, we would be certified to teach classes, EMS classes. So we could teach first responder, we could teach basic EMT, and then to go above that for advanced EMT or paramedic would be a little bit more difficult. So first we need to get our feet in and start with the first responder and the EMT classes, see how that goes. We have 3, I think we have 3 on our roster right now, including myself, that can teach those classes. We also have 5 people that are certified to teach CPR and 4 people that can do all American Heart Association disciplines. So PALS, ACLS, CPR. If we could start teaching those not only into our department, but into other, we can have other people come and take those classes here. Once we become a training center, that'll increase potentially, however we set it up. That could bring some money in for us as well.
You looked into the local schools too, especially like for vocational.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Paul Mathewson, which you guys met at a couple council meetings ago, who's on our staff, is a CTE instructor for Plymouth. So he has a really good foundation on how to set that up. So if we would decide to pursue that in Culver, we've got a great resource to either help us get started and or to teach for us. So I have talked to Dan Cowell and Ryan Fott at the Academy, and they would love to have some type of EMT program. We're not really sure what that looks like yet. Baby steps We have so many great ideas and so many people that want to do things. So those are kind of some of the ideas that we have for training. Like Kevin said, we've gotten some great donations. Trying to think in order what we got them. Last year, we got the PD mates, which are car seats that can go on our cot. We got the virtual reality. We bought the virtual reality headsets, and then we have the program on the computer that was donated to us as well. Traction splints, because earlier in the year we lost a traction splint. We took a patient in with a femur fracture. Those are pretty expensive. They're about $800 a piece, and did not get it back. Phone calls and emails, and we still did not get it back. We got 2 brand new traction splints, and recently we got 2 more CPR mannequins that are brand new, and we are getting some kind of like, forget the name of them, but it's similar to a backboard. The other brand is called a Reeves board, but it's a roll-up type stretcher that you can use to move a patient, to lift a patient. You can immobilize, so they have some different options. Those are also going to be donated to us. I feel like there was one more thing that was donated. I might be missing one other item, but Joe Borgraff with Furno has donated all of those things to our department, and he's very supportive of us. We're very supportive of him, and we absolutely thank him for everything that he has given to us. A couple of my staff members are in the process of writing some grants for some different items that we would love to have. Life jackets. We had a water rescue with Culver Fire, Plymouth Fire, and Plymouth EMS a couple of months ago, and it was suggested maybe we get some life jackets on our ambulances in case we're first there, like we were. And ballistic vests. Those are some things that we wanted to look at for 2027, at least getting a couple, but we feel it's very important for the safety and security of our staff to have those. So we've got people looking at writing some grants for those as well, and then some additional training equipment. So another hat that Paul Matheson wears is he went to class for grant writing. So he's part of that grant writing committee with a couple of other paramedics.
Not tonight, maybe sometime down the road, maybe give us the percentage of calls that go to the academy.
Sure.
Good. And then explain the benefits difference. When 80,000 more in 2025 and 40,000 more this year from 26. What's the difference of that again? Why is the difference on the benefits?
Yeah, the benefits.
Mhm.
So for 2027, we are keeping all of the full-time positions that we currently have open. And included in that would be a benefit package for each full-time person. We currently have 6 full-time spots, 4 paramedic and 2 EMT, which we've kind of diverted to try out the part-time model to see how that works. But if we have to revert back to having all full-time staff, we wanted to make sure we had that in the budget to offer them in 2027. We went a little bit higher on the benefit package with the insurance, because if someone comes in who is married and has a family, they're going to be a little bit higher than a person who would be single with no family.
And that is that like some of the budgets have retirement. Some do.
Only the fire.
Only fire.
I'm just trying not to cough.
Don't get choked up, Sally.
Hey, the numbers look Remember the first year I sat in here with you, Marlene, scared the heck out of me. Bo did a good job, and it's a lot of it's the commitment back there.
One more question. We have one EMS at every home football game for both schools?
Yes,
For both schools?
yes.
Just for football, or is there any other sports that we have?
To my knowledge, we just do that for football.
That's it.
That's the only one that state
The-
requires.
The large cross-country meet, we do send an ambulance for that. But I don't think we routinely go to any other sport.
One of the things, Dana, that has been interesting is that when they have their regattas, I've asked them to try to communicate in case we need, because that is that could be a situation where we have a water rescue or emergency, but there's no mandatory. I just, as a courtesy to put our emergency services on alert, a little bit more, because they have, I think, two decent sized regattas.
Yeah.
So.
Some of the horse shows that they have at the academy, they will have a person on staff for EMS, but we don't send a crew out there.
I think some of those, at one time, they hired their own, a paramedic to sit there during the program.
And another thing I wanted to let everyone know is one of my next big projects is going to be making some proposals to revise our billing structure because that has not been updated since 2021. That's the most recent billing ordinance that we have for EMS. So I'm going to put together some data and some information for you all to consider to revise that for 2027.
The fire sets, the state sets fire. Is there something similar for EMS?
Medicare can make recommendations, but typically Medicare is the standard on what other insurances will pay. So if we set ours similar to Medicare, then there's not really a whole lot extra that a person would have to pay, but it's not really, that's a lot that we would have to write off then. So I'm going to make some different proposal ideas for you guys to consider with the billing. For example, if a patient is just on Medicare and let's say their bill is $1,500 and Medicare says we'll pay $750, then either the patient has to pay the other $750 or then we have to write that off. If a patient has private insurance, maybe their insurance would pay the whole thing. But Medicare is kind of the gold standard when it comes to what is payable and what is not payable.
I know that it's gold standard, but they make their,
They make the call.
Right.
Yeah, I think Julie would agree with that.
Yeah.
Gold standard thing up at the beat, so.
Are we currently billing the difference on Medicare?
I'm not sure. I'm still learning on how the whole process works. I think as of right now, patients do get a bill for what is left over. And I'm still trying to figure out how the collection process works. So if a patient doesn't pay their bill, there's a little bit of a gray area for me on what we're supposed to do. So do you have anything to add to that?
I do know that there are cases that are sent to a specific collection agency and we receive a fine on a periodic basis from the MSMC that says, do you want to send these to collections or not? And then we have the option, and then after that, it goes to collections and sometimes they're successful and sometimes not.
It's back pretty low on the EMS side,
Yeah.
is what I've been told.
So that part of the billing is still, I'm still learning how the collection and that extra is taken care of. And then to kind of throw another thing into the mix, well, I won't get too far into it tonight. We have what we call a treat no transport that we can bill a patient for. So if we go to a home and do treatment on them and they still don't want to go to the hospital, then we can bill on that. And I'm not sure if we've really been billing a lot for patients for the treat no transport. And maybe it's because of insurance or lack of understanding. I'm not really clear on that, but that's another avenue that we can look at for getting back a little bit of what we're using supply wise, medication wise, fuel wise, and staffing.
Where are we on revenue?
Look on the first, there's, on the first page on the back, there's park income on one side and the back side is the general fund. So basically what you want the line to look at is the emergency medical fees. And
Okay, thank
to
you.
date, we've received 52,356. And obviously that's a hard number to guess because it's all based on,
Oh.
I think. Okay, sorry. But that's what the collections are so far. Oh, I'm sorry, as of
Received June
June 30th.
Do we still have a contract with Alaska County? Okay,
And that's the little dash.
okay. Well,
Those are the moderate.
I wanted to make sure that I was understanding
Yeah.
that right.
They used to be like $5,000 or something like that.
Okay.
with Monterey. And there's your answer, Dana, down below that to the academy's contribution.
That's just for fire, right?
No, it's 30,000 total, 15 for EMS and
Yeah.
15 for.
If you take a look down below, it
I
says,
see that,
yeah,
yeah.
yep,
Think it's fair?
no comment.
Okay.
Because I don't have, and I don't say that facetiously, Dana, I say it because I don't have the evidentiary basis to answer that question.
That's why I asked.
Sure.
That's the question you need to ask the rec council.
What percentage?
Yep.
Of our runs go there?
Sure. Is that number something that the town has asked them, or is that something that they just donate?
That was asked of them, I believe, 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Okay.
Does that number
It's
ever
been
increase?
On average, Lisa, how much does, if we pull the rig out and we transport, what's the average cost of that?
On our end,
Yeah.
I would have to do some research to put that together, look at fuel expenses, staffing, how much our personnel are
It's kind of
making.
a weird question, but I mean, yeah, just one that might be relevant.
Sure, equipment, medications and things like that. And I was gonna put that together for everyone when we talk about the billing increase.
Like the whole expenses for the year and then divide that by the number of runs you have.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Okay.
Who does our,
We had talked about doing that. When we were discussing. But it's.
Yeah, it's a pretty clear cut to do.
Like, who does our billing?
Yeah.
It used to be a company called Acumed and they were sold to EMS MC and they are out of Charlotte. And I will say it's not anything that we want to take on.
oh, no, I wouldn't let
So-
that part you guys either. I'm just,
So I'm just
I
like
was just
heading up
curious.
any question.
I was just curious who does.
Yeah,
How many runs roughly now?
I'm gonna have to get that number for you because I'm not positive.
We have one on top of your head.
What's
I
that?
don't have the. Pull it right. over.
She has not learned my delicate art of yes.
So what do you normally average a year?
I think about 450
That's, tell her what she's won. She's
Uh-huh.
pretty close.
and maybe about 250 patient transports.
I'm sorry.
And I think about 450 total, and then maybe about 250 patient transports.
The numbers on a increased pattern over the last 3 years of transport. I've noticed that. Those are all available. There's a state dashboard. And by golly, it's escaping me. but there's a state dashboard that you go to and that gives you the number of runs. Not only that, but you can pull up the map and you'll see where the runs are at. So, and I haven't looked at that in probably 2 years, but I get the numbers every once in a while still, but I haven't looked at the dashboard in a while, so. And it's maintenance fairly well. I mean, there's about a month or two drag on it, I think, but it's been a while since I checked it, so. That's what I do on my free time. And there's that awkward silence. Is there anything more?
Yeah.
Let Kevin break that silence. Anything more? No.
Well, just moving it out, I mean, if this figure is right to 1st of August, it's about $1,000 every time the rig goes out.
That's pretty good math. That sounds kind of, I've heard somebody spit out a number that sounds pretty close to
Yeah,
that too.
anywhere between 900 and 1,500.
Okay. I mean, you figure,
Varies times.
remember about 4 games a year, Dave? That's, math is going on over there.
I wasn't a math major, but I just did it quickly after. Look at what we spent through 6:30.
Going to a football game with that kind of run, does it?
It does not count as a run, right?
Unless you transport from there.
Correct.
You don't have to do that for maintenance.
We hope not.
Right here. 'Cause
But if it's a
I'm
billable
telling you,
run.
we got 21 bodies. We can't have a lot of runs. What you got?
When you go
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
another question I have on building, when you go to the academy, you may not know this, but I'd be interested in knowing this. When you go to the academy and you have a run, is that billed as private insurance or is that billed? How do they bill?
I believe, you mean, is it billed like to the parent or to the school? Is that what you're wondering?
Well, yeah,
I believe it's billed to the parent or guardian of the student. When we take patients to the hospital from the academy, they have a nice little packet of paperwork, typically. Either that or it gets faxed, and then included in that is kind of their demographics, their medical history,
well,
and their insurance
okay,
cards.
but my point is that we basically come out a little better money wise.
Oh, if we're billing a private insurance
Yeah.
versus Medicare, typically those do pay better.
I think that at one point, some of the students coming from foreign countries weren't paying, period.
And that's another thing I've
Yeah.
had to look into,
And-
because if they're foreign,
But
I think there's a billing problem.
at one point, the academy was requiring all students to have insurance.
That's, that's when Julie started managing that 2000, I think it was 10 or 9, somewhere in there, Sally. They were having issues because they weren't having the insurance on record. So they were sending kids off to the Peds or whatever up to Plymouth and they didn't have anything. And not only just Warren, but in general. So
Yeah.
they started requiring proof of insurance at registration. So it is private insurance that they would bill.
I did follow up about a couple of summer students that we've transported that did not have any insurance on record. And I didn't hear back from the academy, but when I got the updated face sheet, so that would have been an academy staff person registering, bringing the paperwork in. It had us billing the academy. So I don't know if the academy is paying for it or if the academy is then sending the bill on to the parent. And I did reach out, but I haven't heard back from the academy staff on how that's handled. There's a lot to the billing. I thought it was just when Mike showed me, it was like, he said, oh, you just click here when it's ready to go to billing.
Click here.
Click
Send
here,
it
it
off.
goes away.
It goes away.
Interference coming, turn it off.
Now you lied to you, didn't he?
I know that they used to also have, and I think all schools do. If it's a school sport, a lot of times it's covered through the school's insurance. So depending on exactly where they were injured, if it's an injury, depends on who pays for it.
Sure.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that sounds football wise, yeah.
I think a lot of that 15,000 that the academy gives us for the sports is to just have the ambulance there.
Yeah.
In case, you know, because we still have to pay the staff just to go over and set it all game, whether they do anything or not. So part of that 15,000 is just to cover that expense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna call that a
You
full
guys
in.
have the information you need.
5:30 tomorrow night.
I don't think so. I would like to have a copy of that EMS.
Oh.
Like he gave me for the fire. Didn't he give you one? No, he gave me the fire. He didn't give me the.
Double check.
Email?
Double check, because I think you said.
Don't respond to this.
Follow up at 12:30?